Theater
Just
of Nightmare.
if you like this video, share this video to all your football crazy fans. মানে যে ভিডিওটা দেখছো তারও আলাদা ফ্যান বেস আছে। All right, so let us talk about the second most disastrous thing that happened on Sunday after India losing by 10 wickets to Pakistan. Liverpool putting on a show in Old Trafford, the theater of dreams, and what to say?
Theater
Just
of Nightmare.
oh, I have to give it to you, man. That was really fantastic. That was so unlike you. All right. But yeah, on a serious note, Manchester United actually, the kind of form they were in, most people would have
They expected.
seen, most people would have expected that Liverpool are gonna go past them with ease. But what turned out, I don't think anyone expected this. Like even Jurgen Klopp in the post-match press conference, firstly he pointed out that he was utterly surprised with the result before mentioning about anything else. And Jurgen Klopp is actually all of us. Like uh, I didn't see this coming. I don't think anyone saw this coming. The way Manchester United played, like they were in a bad patch of form, you might say, and as always, Ronaldo was doing his thing. He was saving Manchester United
And
in
Ole's.
many,
And
and
Ole's
Ole's
job.
job, of course, in crunch matches. That's what he always does, no matter which team he plays for. But the thing, the how the match turned out was like really unbelievable. Like I cannot sink this in till now that the way Liverpool played, I think they should have scored at least 10. So in that respect, I'm a bit disappointed with them. But the thing is that scoring five past Manchester United in Old Trafford within 50 minutes,
50 minutes.
like like this is delirium, man. That's all I can say. Now coming to the tactical point of view, uh, Manchester United does not have a defense, so that is, I think, one excuse that Ole and the Manchester United players can actually give for such a disastrous result. Like they play with only 7 players, whereas the opponents are playing with 11. I think that's a very valid excuse, one that anyone can easily dig in. Like 7 against 11 is not a fair is not a fair competition anyway, because Manchester United play without a defensive line. They don't have defenders, right? I think Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof, Luke Shaw, all of these players, they just uh, they're just there on the pitch because I think they come to the stadium to watch the match, and somehow they do not find tickets, and they don't find any place in the gallery, so that's why they are just thrown into the pitch. Like you can stroll here because you don't have tickets, you can't get a seat, you can just stroll on the stadium throughout the course of the match. I think that's why they come onto the pitch. And one player that I would like to mention is Phil Jones. I don't know if you remember him. Most people have forgotten about his existence, but Phil Jones is a player who was scapegoated for every single match, no matter who, no matter who commits any error in the defensive line, it was always Phil Jones. He's the goat of defenders. He's the lord. He's the one who is responsible for everything. But Phil Jones must be laughing wherever he is now. Just seeing how Manchester United are defending. Like if you see the goals, all of those
Basic
goals are
defensive
due to.
lapses, like basic, like when you go first to a football academy, these things are taught. When two people are coming from the opposition team, you need at least two defenders to counter them. If 2v1 situation is there, how even like even if Virgil van Dijk is there, even if Ramos is there, one defender can't defend against Salah and another Jota or Keita, whoever is there. Like that is a basic football principle.
If you see the second goal, the that ball should have been so easily cleared. If I
Cleared.
and you were in the center back position, we would have cleared it with ease. Even if there was a Mo Salah running towards us, we would have cleared it with ease. And what happened was that two defenders just collided with themselves, gave the ball away, and it was so easy for Naby Keita to pull the ball back. And once again, there was no defender to be found who could have stopped Mohamed Salah. It was such an easy goal. Like every goal was pretty simple for Liverpool. Like it was schoolboy stuff. The errors that Manchester United defenders committed were all schoolboy errors. But the second goal especially was so silly. Like when you see it on in replay, it appears so silly. Like I imagine being a Manchester United fan and watching that replay, I would have stopped watching football for lifetime, man. Like this is not done. I mean, I personally know people who had suicidal thoughts after watching this match, and for valid reasons. And this is not even a joke. That's the saddest part. Like
The
Liverpool
saddest
played
part,
really well.
the saddest part is still to come. Sir Alex Ferguson, the whole Manchester United board, Woodward, and everyone has decided to give Ole another 3 matches, which includes the Manchester Derby and a match against Tottenham, and I think a Champions League match against Atalanta. So the saddest part is yet to come.
I don't think if Ole is dismissed, I don't think if Ole is sacked, that is the saddest part. I think, with all due respect, it's time that Manchester United moves on from Ole themselves. It's not working. It somehow worked when he came. There were some crunch matches that Manchester United won under Ole, and and there were so many talks like Ole was the one who are gonna save them. He saved them as a he played so well for them as a player, and now he has come back as a manager. He's gonna replicate something like Zinedine Zidane, but somehow it's not working anymore. And the sooner the Manchester United management realize that, the better. They need a better manager. Let's face it, man. Like they have world class players. They do have world class players, and I'm not even talking Cristiano Ronaldo.
Hmm.
Even without him, even apart from him, they have world class players. They have a world class team. They can go places. But somehow it's not working. Ole's tactics are not working. This defense, what to say, I can't find any word in the dictionary which can perhaps describe how pathetic the defending has been. The midfield is so good, the attack is so good. David De Gea has been hot and cold, but I think he's a
Hmm.
good enough keeper
Yeah.
to be in the starting 11 and perform well. So I don't think goalkeeping is too much of a problem.
Right
So
now, what transfer window Manchester United had? They bought Jadon Sancho, they bought Ronaldo, they bought Varane, and David De Gea is in somewhat good form. I don't think any manager would require a lot of player exchanges to make this team shine.
yeah, I don't even think that Manchester United need too much of big signings. They just need to get their tactics right, and they just need to have a good shape. They just need to have a solid defensive line, of course, and they just need to have some concrete idea about how the opponent play, and accordingly they need to adjust. Like as I keep on repeating, this is not working. Manchester United need to move on from Ole, and they just need their players to perform to their potential, and I think that should be enough. That's the class of players they have. If the players perform to their potential, that is enough. Manchester United need nothing more. That's it. That's all I have to say. And uh, I don't have too much to say about Liverpool. They played fantastically well. But having said that,
They
If it
played as
wasn't
they
for
play, and Mo Salah also played as he plays. So yeah.
Mo Salah, I don't think we need to talk too much about him. He has scored for 10 games in a row for Liverpool now, and he he's just running riot everywhere he's playing, irrespective of all competitions, and it feels very good to see him perform well. So as I said that Liverpool played well. Yes, they played well, but the thing is they only played well. It's not like they played so fantastically well that they outplayed Manchester United. Yes, they outplayed Manchester United in the truest sense of the term, but the reason being how pathetically bad Manchester United played. So as I was going to say, Liverpool played well, and had it been some other team than Manchester United, they would have just won the game. It may
Hmm.
be a two
Right.
goal margin, at most it may be a three-goal margin, but but as it was Manchester United and as it was that kind of defense and that kind of performance overall from Manchester United, that's why Liverpool had such a could register such a thumping victory, to the surprise of even Jurgen Klopp, and to the surprise of, I think, every football fan all across the world. So the the sooner Manchester United uh, work on their tactics and just try to move on from Ole, the better, I think. That's all.
Okay, so let us also move on. Yeah, so coming to the last topic of today's podcast, and arguably the most boring of all the matches, the Derby di Italia. So Edin Dzeko, even after so many wonderful years of professional football, showed that he still had the hunger and passion and zeal left in him to reach the ball first and net the goal. And as usual, Juventus were left chasing the whole match in order to secure one point. And yeah, that came at the last minute via a Dybala penalty. So yeah, that's all for me to comment on this game. Such a boring match it was. I don't know what's it.
Unlike other Juventus matches.
Yeah, very much unlike other Juventus matches.
Thing is that I used to laugh a lot or maybe cry a lot when I used to watch Juventus matches. When I was part to watch Juventus matches when Cristiano Ronaldo played for them, I had to spend sleepless nights after watching the level of football or the class of football that they play. But I can't afford to laugh at them anymore because the team that Cristiano Ronaldo has now moved to, my word, that is even worse. So I can't afford to laugh at Juventus anymore. But yeah, the the they still play the same. The, they still play
Brand
the
of
same
football.
kind of boring football, and football that gives you suicidal thoughts as fans. But somehow, yeah, you can see how Dybala is celebrating after securing just a point. So that's where Juventus has stooped now. It pains somewhat, but we just have to move on. And I
And accept the
and
reality.
it's a statutory warning to one and all football fans around the world. Don't watch Juventus play football. That's all I have to say.
Okay, so too much of very deep discussions today. Let's go and now enjoy Real Madrid against Osasuna. And yeah, hopefully we can enjoy the night.
Yeah,
So
surely. We have already started enjoying because Barcelona have lost 1-0 to Rayo Vallecano. And I hope Real Madrid makes our night a little bit better. So that's all we can hope for.
if you like this video, please give a thumbs up, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. And yeah, till our next podcast, frankly speaking, I don't know when it will come, but yeah, this time, this time I will make sure that it comes earlier. And this man takes a little bit more responsibility.
Unlike you, I have some work to do. I am busy man, if you like. So yeah, but still I'll try my best to be consistent as before, and hopefully, uh, You guys won't unsubscribe anymore. We have seen enough of it, I believe. And so if you like our work, then share this video to all your football crazy friends and help our channel grow. If you have any suggestion for us to make our podcast better, please leave your valuable comments in the comment section. We'll check each and every one of them. So I guess that is all from our side. I am Neil,
And I am Reet.
and we are signing off.
Bye
We'll see you
bye.
in the next video. Till now, Hala Madrid, Inadamas. Keep watching football, keep enjoying. Have a good day.
Ciao.